Hey girl, so glad you tuned in. My name's Bethany, and you're listening to the Make Up Your Mind channel. This is episode number 10. Whether you're actually putting on your makeup, maybe you're getting ready for school or work from home, or maybe you're going to work. Maybe you're in the coffee drive-thru. Wherever life finds you today, I hope that you remember that there are people that are for you, that are cheering you on to succeed. I hope today I can be a cheerleader standing on the sideline of your life, helping you and reminding you to make up your mind about the small decisions all day long that add up to big decisions later on. Girl, we are in a series on relationships, and I am continuing an episode on red flags. This is episode number 10, so let's get to it. Okay, today we're going to talk eyebrows. I have none, so it's a little bit complicated. Okay, well, that's not true. I don't have none. They are very blonde and thin, my eyebrows are. So I actually got this in my Ipsy subscription. It's called GimMe Brow. I've heard that a ton of people use this and love it. It kind of has a little like mascara type wand, and you can actually go on your individual hairs to darken them and thicken them. So I use this on the front of my eyebrow right now, just as kind of a thickener, as well as I use this, which is also great, super cheap. It's by Maybelline, and it's called Brow Ultraslim. And it basically is like a crayon that you can draw on your eyebrow. You know what? We all have our things. Mine's that I have no eyebrows. I'm thankful, though, that people don't look at your eyebrows first when they're talking to you for the most part. So wherever you fall on the eyebrow spectrum, maybe you have beautiful, thick, full eyebrows. Maybe you're more like me and you got to kind of improvise. Either of these products could work for you. They both are great. I love them. Give them a try. Okay, girls, so let's get to the good stuff. We're talking about red flags in relationships. What's a red flag, you say? It's kind of like a warning sign. It might be something that pops up that makes you go, is this healthy? And before I go on, I just need to reiterate that this isn't actually a 1 + 1 = 2 kind of thing. Sometimes you might see some of these warning signs, and that doesn't mean you should immediately dump him. That's not what I'm telling you at all. It just means maybe you should take a deeper look at what's going on. It could also just be a conversation stimulant to help you get moving on some things that could actually hurt you down the road, that if you catch them earlier, it might not be such a horrible thing. I mentioned in the last episode that most of these red flags either come from my own personal life, lived experience, or one of my close girlfriends. My heart for you is that you would be able to learn from my experience and their experiences so that you don't have to go through as much pain and as much hurt in relationships as we did. We're all going to make mistakes, but I'm hoping that this will save you some hurt, as well as bring you freedom in your relationships. Some of these things might make you feel like you're feeling condemned, or that maybe you've done something wrong, or maybe you've messed up, and that is not my heart either. I hope that this can help set you on the right path and not put a lot of condemnation on your shoulders. That's not my heart for this at all. Okay, so Bethany, stop your jabber. Let's get to this already. I know I always put out so many disclaimers, but I just want to let you know before we get started all of this stuff. Okay, so the first red flag that we're going to be talking about today, actually, it's kind of number 4 since we already went through 3 in the prior episode. So whether you categorize this as 1 or 4, whatever you want to do. This one is pushing boundaries. I talked to a friend of mine and I said, what would you have wanted to know about relationships when you were younger? She took a while to think about it. And then finally she said to me, I wish I knew that it was okay to uphold my own personal boundaries, to hold tight to those lines that are drawn and to not let anyone push you past them. Pushing boundaries can look really different. It can look like a lot of different things. Maybe your significant other is pushing you to put a label on it faster than you want to, like boyfriend and girlfriend. Or maybe he wants to get engaged sooner than you. Maybe he's pushing your personal boundaries in that way. Or maybe he's pushing boundaries on your time. Maybe he's taking up all of your time and you're not having enough time for study or for family or for personal take care of yourself time. Whatever those lines might be, sometimes they get pushed in relationships. But most often, the boundaries that get pushed are the physical ones. And I think this is mostly what my friend was talking about. A lot of the time in a relationship, a romantic relationship, the guy will push the physical boundaries farther than the girl wants to go, farther than you are physically okay with or even mentally okay with. And this happens all the time. Like you're not the only one. And one of the reasons is the core fear of a woman is that we're going to end up all alone, have no relationships, no one to care for us, no one to be a companion for us. That is a core fear of ours. And this fear actually feeds into what happens when the guy pushes the boundaries. When he does that, we can be tempted to feel like if I don't do what he wants me to do, then he's going to break up with me and I'm going to end up alone, possibly forever. If I don't do what he's asking or wanting, then I'm going to end up feeling unloved. He's going to break up with me. So we give in because we're being pressured not only by the guy, but by our own fears in our own hearts. Girl, it is not worth it. Let me tell you that. I can tell you even from personal experience, it is not worth it. Stand up for yourself and don't let your boundaries be pushed. Hold tight to those lines drawn in the sand, girl. You can do it. And before that, I think that we even need to talk about what are boundaries that we can have and why we have them. Some of you are probably in relationships or maybe not even in relationships and you haven't even thought of this. What even are my boundaries? I've never actually had like a cognitive thought about what they might be. Let me tell you this, if you don't actually take the time to set those boundaries for yourself, the absolutely not, the I will not do this, I will not go this far, if you don't set those boundaries for yourself, they will get pushed every time. Emotions, fear, and mostly hormones take over, and those boundaries will get pushed. They will overrule any undefined boundaries. So what you need to do, like I said, is define the lines and don't cross them. The second step that you need to do is to communicate those lines with your significant other, because if he's aware of them, it now puts the ball in his court. If he pushes those boundaries, it's now on him. It's no longer on you. There is now no more excuses for him. If you're young, chances are your parents actually have boundaries for you, like not dating till you're 16 or whatever those things might be. If this is the case, you actually need to hold to those boundaries set up for you. But I would still think for yourself, what are my own personal boundaries on top of those? If your parent has even made a boundary, a clear line saying you're not even to be in a talking online relationship with a guy, you also need to respect that. Let's not be sneaky and try and get as close to the line as we can. That's not what this is about. So you say to me, Bethany, what are some boundaries? Can you just outline some clear good ones for me? Because I don't even know what my boundaries might be. So I'll just list a few for you that come to the top of my head. The first one, curfew at 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. I know that sounds like a goody-goody two-shoe thing to do, but let me just tell you, it actually helped me in my relationship. 10 p.m., nothing good happens after 10 p.m. is what my dad always says. And you know what? He's honestly right. Nothing good does happen after 10 p.m. And even now in my own marriage with my own husband, he is aware that after 10 p.m., my emotional judgment is much lower than it is during the day. So he makes sure to not have any tough or emotional conversations actually after 9 p.m. Because for me, I will end up taking it the wrong way. So whether it's from a physical standpoint or an emotional standpoint, I think that the curfew rule, going home at 10 p.m. is a good rule to follow. Another boundary that could be good for you to set up is not ever laying down on the couch together. Always be upright. Always be vertical, never horizontal. It's just common sense. If you're going to do a movie night, invite other people. It's really important for you to date in public too, to have other people around you and to be interacting with other people. It's super important for you to see him interact with others as well as for him to see you interacting with others. If he treats others badly or is rude or is selfish, do you really want to date him? But sometimes if you are in a group and you see him hanging out with other people, enjoying the time together, being a social butterfly, whatever it is, maybe you just catch a glimpse of him being sweet to somebody else. Maybe it'll be a good thing for your relationship. But it actually could be a place where you spot some of these red flags. If he's talking down to people, if he's gossiping to people, like I said, if he's being rude to people, those are all red flags. And how would you ever know that those existed if you were doing your relationship, just the two of you, only alone? It was super fun for me to watch Dionys interact with other people. I was always so blown away by how kind he was and how gentle he was with other people. And it actually made me even more attracted to him. So date in public. If you're having a movie night, like I said, invite some other people. There are so many other boundaries that you could put into place, like making sure you guys aren't in the house alone together, like checking in with your parents about what time to expect you home. So many of these other things that can be helpful for you to set up roadblocks to where you don't actually want to go. As you can probably tell from all of these boundaries that I'm helping you discuss and set up, that I actually have boundaries that I place around sex itself. And I haven't talked about why I have those boundaries yet with you, but that'll be coming in an upcoming episode. But for now, I just want to say, girl, you have the power to uphold your boundaries, your lines in the sand. Don't let anyone ever push you farther. Get a little stubborn about it. This is an instance where stubbornness can be really good. The second red flag that we're going to be talking about in this episode is when you're dating someone and you have the need to kind of change yourself or change something about yourself, the way that you act, the way that you present yourself, that you have to be another person in order to date this person. Basically, faking it. I think this is kind of a no-duh thing because we've seen so many movies along these lines. We know how this ends up down the road, and yet sometimes we still do it. In the middle of an infatuation, which is a big word, basically meaning that you really like this guy, you sometimes can't see that you yourself are changing yourself in order to be noticed or to hold the attention of this guy. And you're doing it to change yourself so that you get his attention. We've all seen those movies, you know, the one where the girl is from the city and then she goes out to the country. It's like a Hallmark movie. She goes out to the country and she meets the country boy, and then she just decides, oh, I'm going to be like a cowgirl and I'm going to change how I am to fit his lifestyle. Well, we know what happens at the end. She doesn't actually change. That's not actually who she is. And it gets uncomfortable when he discovers that. You get the point. If we change ourselves for a relationship, at some point or another, that mask is going to come off because it's not actually who we truly are. Don't have masks in relationships. It's not worth it. Don't have masks in your friendships either. It's not worth it either. Be who you really are. Be honest. Be genuine. Be kind. Don't fake it. Don't put a mask on. We've already talked about this in another episode. When you don't have to lie about who you are, you will be so much more comfortable, so much more at ease, and so much more you in the relationship. And when you're you, it's the most attractive. He should be really attracted to you for you anyways, not because you're someone else. To end today's episode, I'm just going to say a scripture over you that talks a lot about boundaries. I would challenge you to let this sink into your heart, open it up, and let it be something that you hold on to this week as you go through your week. This is out of 1 Corinthians 7, and it's verses 20 through 22. All of you, slave and free both, were once held hostage to a sinful society. Then a huge sum was paid for your ransom. That was done by Jesus. So please don't, out of the old habit, slip back into being or doing what everyone else tells you to do. That's peer pressure. Friends, stay where you were called to be. Stay where you were called to be. God is there. Hold the high ground with him at your side. What this verse is just saying is that where you are right now, who you are right now is who God has called you to be. And guess what? He's with you. He's with you in this relationship. He's with you in your school, in your particular classes, at your home, with your particular family. God has called you to be right where you are, and he is with you. So hold the high ground, hold your boundaries with God at your side. God, we pray that you would help us to stand firm in who you've called us to be and what you've called us to do. Give us the courage, give us the strength, give us the tenacity to really hold to those boundaries. Ultimately knowing and believing that we are your daughters. God, may it flow out of that. I am your daughter, chosen by you. Girl, it was so good to chat with you again today. As always, I would love it if you would subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and share it. Share it on your social media, share it amongst your friends. Let other girls get in on this journey with you. And as we walk through this relationship series, I would love to know what parts have stood out to you. What have you learned so far? What questions do you have? Please feel free to DM me on Instagram and start having that conversation with me. I would love to hear from you. And stay tuned because the one and the only Pastor Dianis is going to be joining us on the channel in the coming episodes, talking about the heart of a man and what's going through his head at the beginning of a relationship. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be great. Girl, remember that you are loved, you are beautiful, and you can do it this week. God is with you. Girl, I'll catch you later.